It's Andy here again, and this is my monthly roundup of new releases that I've bought in the previous month. So I'm looking here at new released albums in April, basically. They weren't necessarily all released in April, but I've come across them in April, and they're all fairly recent. So I've got 6 to go through. These are mostly new. New music, if you like, brand new releases. But where I think there's a notable new release, which is a reissue, then I'm going to mention it, but only if it's notable. I've got one here out of the 6. I've got one which I have mentioned in another video, so I'll leave that till last, but because it's very notable, I just want to mention it again. So I'm going to start with a band I came across a year or two ago, and on Bandcamp of all, but there was no vinyl of their latest album available in the UK at that time. But they've and I downloaded one of the digital, a digital flat copy, and really enjoyed it. And it's a band called Wednesday, and they released a new album this April called Rat Saw God, and this is the cover. I have a suspicion where that may have been taken, which I'll come to in a minute, but the vinyl's quite interesting. It's clear around the edges. It's got this sort of splodge of yellow in the middle. Now, Wednesday hail from a place in North Carolina, Asheville, and coincidentally, the last time I visited the States was to attend. It was with business, and it was to attend a conference which was in Asheville, North Carolina. So it's one of the very few places in the States I've actually been to, it's an interesting place up in the I think in the Appalachians, so sort of right at the western end of, or northwestern end of North Carolina, I remember doing a bit of research at the time, and I'm going from memory here because this was like almost exactly 12 years ago. So I went in April 2011, but I sort of read that Roberta Flack and also Bob Moog came from there, and I remember asking when we had a sort of a coach tour around the place, asking the guide about it, and she looked at me as if I was a complete idiot. Like, I've never heard of these two people ever. Anyway, Wednesday. So they're sort of indie rock, really good indie rock. Female voice, and I've got a little theme going on here of female voice by somebody called Carly Hartzman, and she's got a great voice, and they're quite fun. They're quite sparky. This album it's a single LP. Pitchfork reviewed it 8.8, which is a very, very high score by their standards, and it is a great record. I have noticed that the download I bought, their previous album Twin Plagues, has just been reissued the same time as this, basically, so it's available on vinyl in the UK. So I might think about that. I've bought quite a lot recently, though. And the other place, famous for Asheville, is that it was where the Vanderbilts, the richest family in the States in 1870 or whatever it was, they have their palatial country home, and it is literally palatial. I'm just wondering whether they took a photo in there. I don't know. Anyway, so really good. Similar, not similar's a bit wrong, but reminds me a little bit of Wolf Alice, for those of us in the UK who know them. Again, spiky female voice, good guitars, good indie rock, basically. So that's Wednesday, and it's Rat Saw God. So the next one's another female voice, and it's a band I sort of No, I don't have any of their previous stuff, but I heard a couple of songs and thought I quite like that. And it's a band called Daughter, and the record is called Stereo Mind Game. So there you have it. And the vinyl is actually, that's a sort of very dark, sort of bottle green colour. Again, single LP. Another female voice, Alina Tonra. And I think they've been going for quite a few years, and again it's a little bit indie, but a bit gentler. Her voice is gentler, so she sings more in a folky style than a rock style. But the backing, it's a trio, so drums and guitar are really quite spiky. So I really enjoyed this. It was. It's not one it's not that similar to stuff I've already got, but I do like it. So that's Daughter and Stereo Mind Game. Now, this is quite an interesting one. A live, in fact, I've got a couple of live ones coming up, and this is Black Country New Road live at Bush Hall, and it's strange colour. It seems to be black. Who would have thought vinyl would be black? So Black Country New Road are a really interesting band, I think. I think they're sort of one of my favourite new, very young bands. Their album, they released an album in, I think it must have been January last year, called Ants From Up Here, and this is it. And this was my number 3 of the whole of last year, and I did buy quite a lot of records. It is really, really good, in my opinion. Now, the vocalist on here is a guy called Isaac Woods, or Wood, and he really, I mean, you can sort of almost hear it. It's very intense. So some people don't like his vocal style. And he left the band days before they released that. He basically couldn't take it. So, it was mental health issues. It's just too much. So, but he had extremely distinctive vocals. So it's really hard to think. And I wondered whether they would, what they would do going forward. Anyway, they've written a whole new bunch of songs, deliberately intended to be live. So this is a single LP. It's got I think about 10 tracks on it, and most of the vocals, not all, so I think they've got sort of 3 people singing, a couple of girls and a guy. I think the guy who does a couple of the tracks is also the saxophonist, but the primary singer on here is the bassist, and she's called Tyler Hyde. And she's actually the daughter of Carl Hyde of Underworld, and she does a really good job. I mean, the music sounds distinctly like Black Country New Road. You can hear it. You know it's Black Country New Road if you know the band. But obviously the vocal style is really different, and I think it will be more accessible to people who didn't really like Isaac Wood's very distinctive vocal style. So lovely album. I'm looking forward to seeing what else they do. Another live one. So this was one of a record store day release, which I ordered online and I wasn't able to get out. Band I'm really fond of, sort of folk rock, and I'm talking here of Midlake, sort of pretty well known. So Midlake, this is a double. It was recorded, it's called Live at Roundhouse, so it was recorded at the Roundhouse in London, and which is an interesting venue. It's in Camden, sort of North London, and it was the Roundhouse element of it. Bear in mind this is a very urban area, though it's at the posh end of urban, shall we say. What was originally a locomotive turntable place at the end of a line back in Victorian times. So they used to run the locomotive into the Roundhouse building, do whatever maintenance or whatever, and turn it round to go out again, because there wasn't room for marshalling yards and stuff like that. So it's now, and has been for quite a long time, a concert venue. I've been there a couple of times. It's okay. So Midlake, they produced an album last year, Bethel Bethel Woods. I can't remember what it's called now, which was quite good, and it was a bit of a comeback. I think most people know Midlake, but if you don't, they're an interesting band because they hail from Texas, but they play sort of folky rock. It's not folk and it's not rock. It's somewhere in between, which really sounds very English. It sounds as though they sort of hail from Shakespeare's Arden Forest, maybe. But they don't. They hail from Texas, and they've had quite a few records and some great songs. And this is a lovely live album. I'm really pleased with it because they're one of my fave bands. So that's my. I do have another couple of Record Store Day issues which I ordered online, but they only arrived yesterday. So I will include those in May's roundup. So that's Midlake. Some jazz. Go Go Penguin, and Everything Is Going to Be Okay. So this is sort of very modern jazz, but it's not heavy. It's quite a gentle jazz, and they remind me a little bit of another modern jazz band called Portico Quartet. Should you know them? So. It's very musical, it's instrumental, but it's nothing like that sort of quite heavy, avant-garde, spiky jazz which is coming out of London at the moment. So nice album. Again, it's strangely in a strange black colour. And last, and this is one I've mentioned before if you saw one of my early albums, early videos this month, a reissue just come out in April, of the Flaming Lips, Yoshimi Battles the Pink Robots, one of my favourite albums ever, and it's the 20th anniversary reissue. This is a box set, so it was reissued as a box set. Had the CD originally, but had to have the vinyl, and as I mentioned on my last video, I saw them on their 20th tour, so a week ago, just at the end of April. They played in London, and I took the trip there for a weekend and saw them. So that's quite a precious one to me. So there you go. That's 6 brand new albums. Obviously, as you might have seen in some of my other videos, I bought quite a lot in April because there was a record fair I went to, and then when I went to London, I had a little tour around looking at record stores and bought some there. So 6 brand new records released, and thanks for watching. Cheers.